Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. If this place seems familiar, although I forgot to set the time proper, let's fix that real quick. You recognize where we're at. You probably flew or watched Murphy's stream last night, because wouldn't you know it, that's where we are. Kind of got a little inspiration to pick up where Murph left off last night, flying through some mountains, and enjoying some more mountain scenery. So we have some people rambling in. We have Allison Johnson. Welcome, welcome. I hope your headache subsides, goes away soon. Those are never any fun. Catbat9's here. How you doing? Scotland will be here shortly. Just harvesting some wheat. Well, don't hurt yourself, and we'll look forward to when you're able to join us. Brian's here. Hello, hello. Hope you're well. Well? We have Jim Oates. Hope you're well, my friend. Good evening, good evening. Lukester's here. Good evening, sir, to you. Brazenhead's here. How you doing? Ed Reed's here. Get what clock fixed? Oh, the in-game. Yeah, I fixed it. We have Red Dragon. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Glad everybody's here. I should be pretty sure I'm on the US server. I am on the US server. East US server. I'm in the Savage Cub. Kind of been on a tail dragger kick lately. Was originally going to do this with the L19, but that seems to be suffering from the hypersensitive rudder. So I decided to go back to the Savage Cub. The X Cub's nice and all, but it's almost too fancy for my taste. I'm much more of a simple airplane kind of person, and the X Cub just got more going on than I prefer. So we're in the Savage Cub. Kind of a bit of a nut for the unfancy airplanes, as it were. So the multiplayer should be open. I just don't see anybody. We are on the East USA server. I suppose I could double check my multiplayer settings fast. Let's see. Where is it? Dougal McTavish is here. Hello, sir. I hope you're well. We're looking forward to a nice morning flight. Now, I did basically a good part of this. Ooh, I left the name tags on. That's gotta go. I did 2 legs of this trip last night, just to kind of get a good idea of being able to go where I wanted to go, and it went well enough. So I can't tell what direction the wind is coming from. That's fine. Look at the morning light on these mountains. Isn't that something? So we're going to go ahead and take off from this runway. We're going to head that way. And then, because we're going to end up following this river a ways to get where we want to go. So I will go ahead and get the airplane started. More like the rising sun. Crack the throttle. And the landing light on. And we're started. Well, I mean, wheat makes the other thing, or is an ingredient anyway, depending on what kind of fresh beer you're into. So I'm going to go ahead and take off, circle the field a little bit, and see who all joins us. Hey, it's all good, Jim. All good. There's a lot going on in the Discord world lately. Roger that, Scotland. I will circle around a bit. Oh, we got one up. Two rolling. One thing I forgot to do was refill my water bottle. Well, when we get to our first stop, that'll be the first thing I have to do. Definitely one of my favorite times of the day to fly in. Yes, it is. I very purposely did it that way. Kind of wanted to do a continuation of sorts on Murphy's flight. They're working good. Once there were some initial challenges to get them work correctly and finding the right sensitivity curves, but now they're fantastic. They're definitely, now that they're properly set up, they're definitely worth the price. They're just, I really enjoy them. Yep, it's a beautiful area, and it was worth doing some more flying around. Yeah, having pedals, it's a complete game changer. I mean, you can get by without them to a certain degree, but once you have them, and especially with any experience in a real airplane, it's just you gotta have pedals. You know, because doing any kind of ground taxiing, landing, taking off, and doing any kind of slips or whatnot, it's super vital to have a good set of pedals. Yep. I know I've had to do quite a few, especially in these tail draggers, ironically enough. But I've found myself doing a lot of different side slips on landing to either lose speed or altitude or both. Very nice. What kind you get? Alright, I think everybody's pretty well up. So you might have one person on the ground. Yeah. Hey, as long as they work, that's all that really matters, isn't it? So we're going to go ahead and follow this river. We're not going to worry about the magenta line too awful much. I'll be checking it on occasion just to make sure I don't get everyone lost. But for the most part, we're kind of ignoring the magenta line. I mean, they are apart, but at the same time, in most of the airplanes that I've been in, they're not far apart from each other. They're fairly close to each other. Not like right next to each other. Right, there's a little bit of space. Not having seen the SciTech pedals in person, it's yeah, and that's the trick. Getting the right sensitivity and dead zones and whatnot's really the main trick. I had the Thrustmaster T pedals. Well, I mean, I still technically have them. I just don't use them. But basically, they're the slidey kind, and they had issues. An Xbox controller, it works for what it was designed to do, and it's better than a keyboard and mouse. And SciTech, Logitech, it's all basically the same. I think basically Logitech just bought SciTech. Because I think SciTech bought Mad Catz. But we're going to start on course. Yeah, I use SciTech and Logitech fairly interchangeably because, I mean, once you start looking at it, it's the same stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of a 6 to 1, half dozen to another. It's all the same product at the end of the day. So far, live weather is working out fairly well. When I tried this flight last night using the L19, it got pretty ugly at one point. For the most part, it was okay, but then it got to the point once I started moving northwards, it got pretty ugly. I almost flew into at least one mountain. No, absolutely. I mean, you can look at it, and they're absolutely the same exact product as SciTech, and they didn't really do anything other than change the branding on it. My altitude is roughly 7,350. Oh yeah, for $100 or whatever, that's you're getting. It's a better quality product than the price, but that's it's not like like the Thrustmaster pendulum pedals, or something from Redbird, or something where you're spending a few $100s. Yeah, and I'm not gonna say how much that I paid for my VR Insight pedals, but they're starting to become worth the price. They got a good feel to them, and they're made simply and easy and out of metal. So not only it's well made. Yeah. Ooh, that wind. Now this is bush flying. And it goes to the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, and the honeycomb pedals, they look fantastic. I got the VR Insight because I had the ability to at the time, and I was getting exceedingly frustrated with the Thrustmaster T pedals, just because they weren't working the way they should have, and I wanted to get something that I knew that I would conceivably buy once, cry once. So as in I shouldn't need to replace. Yes, we are following the river. I just need to see what they're offering. Absolutely. It's just I wanted to get something that I was reasonably sure that I wasn't going to need to replace because they were made out of cheap parts, like cheap plastic and that sort of thing. Which, you know, plastic just has a tendency to do that before metal does. And it also depends on, well, how do you treat it, and there's a lot of factors in that. But I wanted something that was built solid, and I wasn't going to have to fuss with all that much. And I'm very happy with them at the end of the day. And there we have the sunset, folks. Or the sunrise, rather. So, I have to ask, what's everybody been listening to lately? Whether it be music, kick, or podcasts, or what have you been listening to during your day? I've currently picked up listening to Critical Role. A bunch of voice actors play D&D, and it's been quite entertaining. It's like they're telling a story organically as it happens, and it's pretty funny, and it's really good. Monster Truck. I am Monster Truck. And how you doing, Ailerons into the Wind? Been a minute. Sorry I haven't been playing the Division lately. I just haven't gotten to it. Ray Vaughn. There you go. Mixture of the La La Land Instruments, Muse live shows, Rammstein, and several wrestling podcasts. There you go. It's a nice variety. Muse, and more Muse. Haven't listened to them in a minute. I think Call of Duty's basically been turning into the new, like, Madden series or FIFA series, where it's just the same stuff with a different label or different number on it. Captain Bobasso is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're along. Classical music's always a good choice. Kind of got on a bit of Tchaikovsky here a little while ago. I'm doing pretty good. Just flying, doing some mountain flying. My friend, glad you're here. I'm so far behind on your music lately. That's okay. I listen to so many different types of music, it's not even funny. I end up spending a lot of time listening to the music that I can play while streaming. But no, it's... Yeah, I've been... other than listening to Critical Role, I've been listening to a little bit of Tchaikovsky, a little bit of Rob Zombie, little Mannheim Steamroller. There you go. No, absolutely, Scotland. There was a time where I was working and I would play classical music and I would get funny looks like, how can you listen to classical music? And it's Keen Lafford. Welcome along, my friend. I hope you're well. Woo. The air is definitely alive today. Ooh, really getting blown around. Virtual concert from PSO on November 18th. No real shows this year. Yeah, it's been a real cramp on the old live event circuit for this whole year. It's kind of sucks. I was never really into live music myself per se, but just the fact that it's kind of put the kibosh on it's real unfortunate. Let's hope things kind of get sorted out sooner than later, so we can do stuff like go to AirVenture and Oshkosh and do all sorts of more fun things. Get back to some semblance of proper normal. So as this river series, we're going to turn left and follow it north through some more valleys and such. This is my first stream of yours, Charlie. I have 2 term permanent. Hey, welcome along, Charlie. You're more than welcome along. Hope you enjoy it. And that's a tier 1 subscription from Isega. Many thanks. I do greatly appreciate it. Very, very humbled and grateful. I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But thank you. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And of course, you should be able to use if you have Amazon Prime, you should be able to link it to your Twitch account and use your Twitch Prime to subscribe at no cost. In Vegas last. I would not want to get caught out here in a plane wreck or lost. That wouldn't be fun. Aha! That's fair play. Well, I'm still grateful that you chose to subscribe, regardless. So this is going to be the longest leg of the whole trip. Straight line distance, it was 71 nautical miles. And obviously we're taking the long way following a river. But that's okay. Let's see. Let's do this. See what happens. KSMN. Hey, we actually got a METAR. Winds are calm. Well, that's kind of almost an hour old. And set your mice clear. My temperature -3, dew point -11. Well, there you go. There's the weather. Now it's a question of whether or not Flight Sim actually reads it correctly. I do. It should be if you're on Twitch. It's listed there for sure, but it's basically Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 2000 Zulu, which equates to about 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Stream from 3 to 4 hours usually. Sometimes I'll do a bonus stream either later in the night or on the Friday or Saturday. The big thing of it is I avoid streaming when Murph is streaming because he's been very kind and generous with sharing the community. So I out of respect for him, I alternate days with his stream schedule so that I don't interfere and that we can all enjoy. Plus, I enjoy Murphy's streams, so I like participating with his group flights and whatnot. So yeah, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays at 2000 Zulu. Okay. That's fair. I guess I didn't realize Murphy was running live weather, so I was running something out, one of the SoFly. I think I was running the high level clouds V2. I downloaded the beta for FS for that. But I don't think I've used it at all since the AFCAD days of FSX. I don't even know what I would use it for, to be honest. Okay. I know they the guy that was behind it had beta out through the end of October, and I think I had gotten it and never ended up doing anything with it. Gotcha. I don't know, most everything that I need I can either click on with the mouse, or I've got assigned to something on my throttle quadrant or the yoke. I haven't really had too terrible of a need. I would like to eventually get one of the Sci-Tech, Logitech, whatever radio panels, because those would be huge. A huge benefit. Okay. It all takes dialing in, my friend. When I was first watching, well, I started streaming fairly heavily right before the release of FSX, Flight Sim 2020, and I found Murph's channel the Saturday before, and I didn't have a streaming schedule at that point. So I would stream. I was already streaming alternate to him. But you know, the longer things went on and he had his set schedule, it kind of helped shape mine. Just because the time slot's good, because I can catch, you know, people in my time zone, maybe not so much in the East Coast or the West Coast of the United States, rather, but I can still catch some folks in Europe. It takes time. Uh-oh, what did I hit? Okay, hit anything. It just takes time to get it sorted out. You gotta decide on something, stick with it, evaluate how it's going, and then, you know, adjust from there where you need to. It's all about finding who's your audience, where is your audience, and kind of adjusting along there, and, you know, who are the people that you stream or participate in their streams, and kind of guide it along there. That's at least what I did, and it's worked out fairly well. So you've also got to, you know, take into account your personal life schedule. You're, you know, doing adulty things, and, you know, working around them, and if you've got a family and all that fun stuff. So there's no perfect science to doing the stream gig. It's a lot of trial and error. What is that lock for your upper right? Seems like locking device or something. Upper left. What was that lock? Lock. lock. Oh, that? I don't know. Probably, I would imagine, because that's not the flap lever. Because that's the flap lever. It's the nitrous. Yeah, I don't know. I would almost assume on it's in op, but maybe it is for the tail wheel. That's the only thing I could think. Yeah, I'm just in the wee Savage Cub. Is there a fuel selector, or how's the fuel work in this thing? Questions I should have been asking before starting the flight. Or does it run off both? Let's check. Oh, it seems to run off both. And I've got just under 6 gallons left. Awesome. Oh, that makes sense. I know that there's a lot of real warbirds that'll do that. You know, the Mustang, I think you held the stick all the way back to free up the wheel. And then at some point it locks into place, if I remember correctly. Back in the day where tail draggers were much more common than they are today. Funny story about short takeoff and landing, or short takeoffs and landing. On a whim, one night I decided to go up to somewhere near the Bering Straits in Alaska, and I was on real weather, and I was in the 152. I don't know why. It was a whim sort of decision, and the wind was it was howling. Well, I go in for a landing. Next thing I know, I've got full flaps, and I'm kind of hovering along the runway surface at about 5 miles an hour, just kind of happily floating around about 5 feet off the ground. And it was kind of funny how it worked. I was into the wind, and the wind was so strong that it was doing a real good job of keeping me up in the air. But I wasn't going fast enough to really go up. So it was kind of fun doing almost a hover in a 152. Hey Jay, how you doing? Oh, I'm hanging in there. Just doing some flying in the mountains of Idaho and Montana. in the Savage Cub. Aha, I see what you did there. Yeah, it's fun playing with the with hovering physics, hovering airplanes in the right wind condition. Now, even for having a fairly overcast guy, I can't talk. Which is real problematic for being a streamer. You really kind of need to talk. Even for being overcast, it's still real nice out. Roger that. It's just so fun just looking around at the scenery. Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of just looking at the linkage and whatnot. Probably go with 3.5. Just because the METAR was saying that the winds are calm, so we have the option. And based on what I did last night, you got two options. You can do a low approach and not have to go over a bit of a mountain. There is room for that, or you can just go over the mountain and have a straight, more straight but steep approach. It certainly is, and 2020 can go either way at this point. Lucky for me, I'm not streaming tomorrow, so we'll just have to hope that the luck of the Irish is with Murph and his stream. No, absolutely. There, and now the flight information is properly being displayed. Awesome. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. There have been times where Brian gets 4 days off. How about that? There you go. Well, welcome, Mr. Chippy. I hope you're well. Are you following the roads? Good navigation aids. Yep, absolutely. And in fairness, I've been using Sim Toolkit Pro, and it has a moving map feature as well. And following rivers and whatnot is a really handy way to navigate without, because I mean this doesn't have any nav equipment at all, and it has a transponder and it has communication radios, but that's it. So having the little VFR maps helpful, having the Navigraph maps or the Sim Toolkit maps is super helpful. And for streams, it's it's cheaty, but at the same time, it's real helpful, because when I tried to do the flight down in Bolivia, I got everyone lost, and I really don't like doing that. But I want to fly things like the 152 and the Savage Cub, the things that don't have so much instrumentation in it. It's because to me, they're a bit more fun to fly because they're simple. They're simple airplanes, and that's more enjoyable to me. Because it's just you're just focusing on flying and less on navigation. But having the maps, it's vital for being a streamer and having a flight and having people flying with you. I used a handheld Garmin when I flew the Robin. Yeah, and that's the other thing. The little nav map, or the in-game or in-sim VFR map, or Sim Toolkit Pro, they're all basically, in my grandpa's Cessna 175, he had a Loran, which ended up being outdated, and he had standard nav equipment, but he ended up getting I think it was a Garmin 300 series little GPS map for aviation, and he had it mounted right to his yoke. And so it's just, you can look at it as cheating, but at the same time, it happens in real life, so it's not cheating. It's just There's that too. I mean, yeah. There's so many different ways. There's no one right way to do things, as long as you're able to navigate properly. Granted, there are some requirements as far as having instrumentation to be certified a particular way by the FAA, but that's just a nuisance from courtesy of the government, more often than not. Okay, so runway is in sight. We're going to go for runway 35. I'm going to land first, and then record, that's the right word, record everyone else's landings. No, I can imagine. My grandpa was pretty devastated when the FAA took his license, because flying was his whole, a very large part of his life, and his passion for flying, you know, was what got me into flying, and when he wasn't able to do it anymore, it was real depressing. So I can fully sympathize. Now, probably the scariest thing to ever happen aviation related in my life was the day I got a call that my dad was in a small plane crash on he was doing a training flight. He was with a student, and I was at work, and I got a call that he was on the way to the hospital, and I'm just thankful he was around. He ended up getting the most injuries. The student pilot walked away. They ran out of fuel during the flight, and ended up putting down in a field. And the aircraft was a total loss. But we've got somebody floating over the airport. Another. Skies are definitely not clear here, like the METAR said. That's interesting. So I'll get down first so I can get the camera set up and such. A little bit of a bounce. Ooh. So pull back on the stick. Alright. Pull off the runway a bit. Taxiway. So go ahead and let me get set up for capturing flights. So apparently the weather is not matching up the METARs at all because I just landed in a tailwind. So you can I don't know how you all are have your weather. And then there was Murphy. We are keeping well. We're just making our first landing of the night. Evening. Day. Whatever you call it. Cab app. Well, you can either continue on with it because the windsock's pretty blustery, or you can go around and land the opposite direction, and I wouldn't blame any of you. Although I seem to do okay. Coming in 1-7. Roger. Well, it seems Brian is still coming in on 3-5, as well as Red Dragon. I hope you're well, Murph. You kind of missed it. I took off from where you left off. Brian's down. Nicely done. We got Red Dragon coming in next. Followed closely by USA PR1. Nicely done. So flip the camera around. Well, I'll try to get back there. Nice one. You just backer train. Little guy, it rains so much, Forrest Gump. Yeah, so far we're doing real well. As here comes Dougal with a very nice landing. A little bit of a bounce, but nothing to be ashamed of. And we're still going to make it in time to see Scotland. Very nicely done. Oh, we got Catbat in. Yeah, so the in sim is definitely not matching up with the METAR, which is fine. It's still flyable. And there, planes coming at Heathrow, and I had the nice one, Chippy. Nicely done, Cat Bat. Very well done by everyone. So, given the fact that the weather is what it's doing, we're going to taxi down to runway 17 and take off from there. And we will, upon takeoff, do a right-hand turn, 180 degrees. Yes, nice landings by all. And actually, I have to do this. So, we're gonna go here. Butter's a nice thing to have. So we're going from SMN to 9. Da, da, da. 49. Dell. Okay, that's good. Goes. Open that back up. So that's good. Okay, and should be good to go on that end. Flaps up. Wait for everyone to make it to the end. Scotland coming in hot. So I'm going to go ahead and take off. I'm going to, upon takeoff, I will be circling to the right. There it goes. Now detected. Ooh. And just like that, we're up. You sneeze at this thing and it'll take off. And I think for this leg, I will leave the name tags on, mostly because I don't want to do that mid-flight. You guys could even take off from the intersection of the runway, Catbat and Brian. So we'll begin a right turn. It is possible to join. We are on the East USA server. We're just circling Kilo Sierra Mike November. Kilo Sierra Mike November. Now this is where it gets really fun. It's because we're going to continue a right, lazy right turn. Get fucks. Roger that. So we're going to follow this river a ways, and then there will be a road that kind of jaunts off to the left at one point, and we'll go through some mountains, and we'll make our way to the next airport, which is 4 Uniform 9. There's Jay spawning in. And do a wing wave to all the Fireflies joining us tonight and audience at home. So we're following between the river and this long road is what we are currently going to follow. And trim our nose down a bit. I see Tortuga. I'm really enjoying the little Savage Cub. I really do. It's nice and simple. There's nothing fancy about it, but it does everything I want it to do. 100 increments. Interesting. Yeah, it's finicky. I think that's a bug that needs to be brought to Asobo, brought up to Asobo, or brought to Microsoft. One of the two or both. It's real frustrating to get the fine details on the directional gyros and whatnot and the knobs. You know, that they want to go in 10-degree increments and you just want it to go into 1-degree increments. There you go. You know, I've thought, Tortuga, you said you're in the Kit Fox. I've kind of heard mixed reviews on that, but I haven't heard anything about it lately. How is it? Because it's not that expensive in the marketplace. Would you say that it's worth it? So I did hear some complaints about the quality of it early on. And I don't know how many updates it's gone through or what have you. But it'd be kind of nice to hear somebody that, in review on it from somebody that's used it. And, something that's, now that it's been a few months since its release. There you go. I have considered it. I normally keep them off. I just forgot to turn them off before I took off. I'm using the word off a lot. But I might have to look into that. I like the clean look of not having the name tags on for the most part. Using them in Murphy's Stream can be useful. But for the most part, I have a tendency to tend to keep them off. That's just me. Gotcha. Well, as long as they're if they're actively taking feedback and whatnot from people, that's a good sign. It's just been one of those that I've been kind of, I like the idea of it, but I've heard some iffy things about it. But if you think it's worth the price, I may reconsider looking into it. I'm really looking forward to getting some fighter planes, both vintage and modern, into Flight Sim. It'd be really nice to get some newer amphibious planes in, because the Icon A5 is nice. The L19 is nice, but it has some niggly bits that kind of bug me. It's kind of silly, but absolutely. I'd take either one of those. I'd love to get a Wildcat, the F3F Wildcat. Corsair would be really fun. Mustang's a classic. Although I'm partial to the B and C models of the Mustang. P38, P47, Spitfire, an ME-109. A lot of good airplanes that I'd like to see in there that I'm sure that someone has in development at some stage. Even if just in the planned. But I think Warbirds would be a nice thing to have. I know that DC Designs is working on a P61 Black Widow. That would be real fun because it's multi-engine, a multi-engine prop Warbird, and it was the United States' first specifically designed night fighter. And it's a real neat looking aircraft. So right about where Scotland is, this pass up here, I believe is right about where we want to turn to the left. There's a road that follows the path through and over a mountain. To get us where we want to go. Another real fun Warbird that would be nice to see is an SBD Dauntless. Pardon me. Turn, I'll have to... We can do a casual turn. We don't have to do a hard brake. So, yep, right at this intersection here. We have the river here, we have the main road. There's a little side road right here that kind of breaks off here. And that's the road that we're going to follow for a bit. Well, welcome, Alaska 559. Glad you're along. How are you this fine day? Nice. Excuse me. Well, there you go. I'd call that a win. See, I was always fairly decent at tests. Never liked to do homework. Somehow I was always clever enough to kind of muddle my way through tests just fine. Well, glad you came along, Charlie. Sorry to see you go, but I hope you join us next time. There's always Discord, there's always Murphy's Discord, and there's always the next stream, which after tonight, my next stream will be Sunday at 2000 Zulu. So there's always that to look forward to, and I'm glad you were here. Well, I'm glad you chose here to join us. And I try to be nice and relaxed, and having this nice scenery to look at can't hurt either. Mountain flying has never been so fun. And having the crew along makes it even better. See, I think, and for me, that's been another point of confusion. Is just there's the one that does the toggle, and there's the one that has the tube button. Bush flying is when you put a bunch of leaves on the airplane, and then fly around, and it just looks like you're a bush. They tried calling it shrubbery flying, but it was just too hard to say in conversation. Huzzah! The bush flying was invented during the war, and it needed to evade the Germans and the Japanese and the Axis powers. So you used the camouflage, and sometimes when you had to scramble real fast, you didn't have time to take it off. See, again, camouflage. It's too hard to say in conversation. It's easier just to say bush. I looked like a bush. Whereas one of my favorite YouTubers, Corrales. Bushes. And unfortunately, we're going to have to gain a little bit of altitude here. I believe it's the Eagles that once said you can go your own way. It seems that some of our friends have gone their own way. I take no responsibility if you get lost. Some of us follow me. Some of the group. Even with the cloudy weather, it still just looks beautiful. We took a left at Albuquerque, to quote the venerable Bugs Bunny. We're just on the other side of... Oh, it's Fleetwood Mac. My apology. They have a fairly similar sound, so I kind of questioned it. So I see Jay Watts and Tortuga back here. We're just on the other side of some ridges. No, absolutely. If I were to get lost anywhere, this would probably be a great place for me to be because of the woods, on the middle of nowhere. And build a cabin. Could hunt and fish for food. So we want to fly towards MSFS 571. So we can clear this ridge line. Yeah, joking when you said that they're... I mean, in fairness, I was just kind of having a laugh with that, but it doesn't. It also doesn't surprise me that they do that. It's not real practical for flying, but there you did. It happens. Don't worry. Just look. It's so beautiful here. I think by now we're actually in Montana. Hey, now I see the name tags. Newbie McNewbert. I approve. Just stunning. Hello, Lost. I thought your name was Dougal. I'm Colonel. Just absolutely stunning scenery. What did it? Something happened. You know what I didn't do? I didn't fill up. There we go. Saw nothing. We're okay. We're alive. We didn't even hit the ground. That moment when you hear your engine go off and you're like, why did that happen? Why did my engine turn off? Sky's fine. I was falling. The ground suddenly became a lot closer all of a sudden. Hello, ground. That was kind of odd. Well, okay. Survived. I probably confused the heck out of Brian. Whoopsie. Meanwhile, we're just gonna act like nothing happened. Well, it's that, or hey, look at, or hey, watch this. What happened? I was trying to resize the VFR map. Next thing I know, the engine cuts off. Wait, is that a bug? What happened? We're okay. We're all okay. I might need to change my pants a little bit. My simulation pants are very messy right now. I try to enjoy a flight out in the countryside, and then your engine shuts off, and then you don't know what happened. Yeah, I mean, I had the big old gas jug in the back. And I climbed out and filled the tanks. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, if I could hazard a guess, based on my limited knowledge of airspace, yeah, the switching of the fuel tanks, it's real. It's a skill you gotta get used to. I believe this would be classified as Class G airspace, which is basically unrestricted. Oh, favorite places? Gosh. That's a hard one because everything looks so good. I mean, I'm partial to Michigan. Just because it's where I'm from, it's where I know. Ireland was nice to explore. I'd like to explore it more. The only problem is I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to... I know more about Ireland now since watching Murphy streams than I ever did. But for geographical reasons, I need to do more study on it. Yeah. I've really enjoyed the American Southwest, the American, the Rocky Mountains. Exploring Ireland's been fun. The little bit of exploring of the northern part of the UK and Scotland's been interesting. Yeah. It's like, look at the pretty... It's like I'm a bug in a bug light and bug zapper. And don't look at the light. I can't help it. It's so beautiful. But... there's so much. I mean, flying over South Dakota the other day, was it Tuesday, and seeing Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and Devil's Tower. You know, the Heavens Landing, that was fun. You know, it was visually interesting. I flew over Camp Toccoa in Georgia, which was where Easy Company of the 506th, the 2nd Battalion, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Train. That was kind of neat. The flying in New Zealand's been pretty neat. I can't pick out a favorite. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, it'd just be Michigan because you know I'm partial. I'm very biased when it comes to that. Uh, but at the end of the day, it's all been beautiful scenery, no matter where I've been flying. What's your favorite places have? What have been your favorite places to fly in? Chat and viewers. Yeah, I just watched. There's a video on Two Tone Murphy's Discord. Someone had posted about using a Stream Deck for different flight controls, and it looks interesting. I don't have a Stream Deck. There you go. I got to get back to Normandy at some point since they changed the level of the water across the globe. See if the Normandy beaches look any better. And I had run across a freeware Normandy scenery that I'd like to check out. There you go. Got a nice conga line going. And we're not that far from the destination. Nice. I mean, a 3-knot tailwind's still a little faster than no tailwind at all. I don't think I've ever really looked into Malta. I'll have to look into that. I think the best natural wonder that I've flown through has been probably Monument Valley and the Grand Canyon. I mean, just looking at mountains and stuff is always visually fascinating. I don't think I've had a flight that I didn't enjoy to some level. There's always been some sort of enjoyment. Fly Darren, sorry late, just spawned in. It's the man about a dog. That's okay. It's like I say, there's no such thing as late. You arrived when you needed to. And I'm just glad you're along for the flight. And not to paint myself as a dumb American, I couldn't tell you off the bat where Malta is. Ah, that makes sense. That sounds like what a pilot would do. Okay. So we're getting fairly close. I believe it's out this general area. Italy and gotcha. Not a very big island, is it? Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing some more Mediterranean flying. Checking out Sicily. And I know on a Murph stream we checked out a lot of the Greece islands. I wouldn't mind flying to Israel. Could be a fun long-term flight plan, but to fly the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, that could be a fun trip. Okay, let's see, Brussels. I've been to San Diego once. And the funny part about it is I was there in January of 2017, and of course, in real life, it's San Diego's a fairly warm, it's California, and it's warm most of the year. Well, it's Ohio. It depends on what part of Ohio. But it was in the mid 60s Fahrenheit. I couldn't tell you what it is in Celsius off the top of my head. Is in the mid 60s probably. All the locals were bundled up, winter jackets, long pants, trousers, and they're just acting like it was really, really cold. And me being from Michigan, when I flew out to go to San Diego, we were in the single digits. We're below freezing quite a bit. And so I get to San Diego and I was like, hey, this is pretty nice. I kind of wish I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt right now because I had worn long trousers, and I had wished I could be cold, but all the locals were acting like it was so cold. I'm just like, y'all don't even understand. There you go. Nice little boat down by out on the water. My only regret while being in San Diego was not seeing the, I believe it's the USS Midway Museum, the aircraft carrier they have there. Malta sounds about the size of my, less than the size of my hometown. And according to Bing Maps, it's due east of Tunisia and due south of Sicily, Palermo. But yeah, that could be fun doing a long flight plan that goes along the coast of the Med. So once we all get down, I'll land first, then record everyone else's landing. I have got to get my water bottle refilled. So don't let me forget that, because I probably will again. Oh, it doesn't have a clue about age. Sure. There are some missions and some lessons in Flight Sim that will be able to get you going. Not to mention being a part of a wonderful community that can help you get going. You should be able to pick it up. They do a fairly good job in the sim to kind of introduce you to the basics of flight, the controls and whatnot. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I'd say I'd give it a reasonable ability of being able to learn enough to get into it. Yeah, and you know, between the basics, basic lessons in the sim and the little community that we've kind of carved out for ourselves, we'll get you up to speed in no time. Lots of very helpful and generous people out there. And we've got the likes of, Murphy himself, Allison Johnson does a great job, Jim Oates, Ailerons into the Wind. Yeah, just, a huge bevy of people that are willing to help out and teach. So we have way more runway than we need, which is just fine. Yeah. Like I said, lots of generous, wonderful people in the community, and can get you going. And that is a soft landing. Didn't hardly need any runway at all. Alright, I'll get parked up off to the side. The wind helped out quite a bit. I'll say that. Alright, so the name tags are already on. So the challenge is, who can get a 3-point? We have Brian inbound. Looking good so far. Nicely done by Brian. Very nice. Next up is Dougal McTavish. Nice little bit of crab. And there you go. Nicely done. Next up is USA PR1. A little bit of a float and down. Well done. Nicely done. Next up is Jay Watts and Tortuga. Along with Fly Darren, Catbat 9. Nicely done. A little bit of a bounce from Jay, but not bad. Fly Darren inbound. Tortuga going for the real soft landing. Practically floating. Darren, nice job. Tortuga with the float. Nicely done. Catbat, nice landing on the mains. Nicely done. Red Dragon next. There you go. Nicely done. Good job. Next up we have Captain Bombasso. Approach is looking good. Very good. Looking good. Nice rollout. A little bit of a float. And we're down. A little bit of bounce. But that's okay. We're down. Very nice. Next up is Scotland. Got a lot of float going on. That's not a bad thing. There it is, as if landing on a pillow. That's because if I don't have the generic models turned on, which they're the generic models, if I don't have them on, it likes to crash the desktop. So that's why they all look like Bonanza. It's an unfortunate thing, but it beats all the crash the desktops. Alright, so I'm going to hit this button and I'll be right back. Alright. Basically what Chippy's been saying. Ian, I'm just thinking now, tomorrow's Friday, stream tomorrow, and he has a lot of problems with streams anyway. Well, using 2020 logic, which is dangerous, it could be his best stream ever. 0 hitches, 0 crashes to desktop. Or he could just take the night off and avoid it all. It's entirely plausible. Alright, so we are on our next leg, and arguably the easiest leg. It really would. It really would. So, we're going to make sure that we have fuel. Yes, we have fuel. Good, good. Good. And now we're going to go ahead and taxi to the runway. Look at that stiff wind that we're getting. And this should be easiest wind. The easiest leg that we've had for the night. Make sure the traffic's clear. There's a wing. This little guy does not need a lot to take off. One of the reasons why I like it And just like that, we're off at 75% power. Well, in case you fall asleep, you have a great night. So we'll do a little circling around, waiting for everybody to get airborne. Yeah, I mean, you practically sneeze in the direction of this, and it just is like, okay, it's time to take off. It's great. I hear that. I hear that. I fully sympathize. And I forgot to turn the names off again, but that's okay. I can live with it for right now. Like we just have Dragon on the ground and he's on the roll. So we'll go ahead and get going on the flight path. If you're interested in keeping up with the community, we do have a Discord channel. I do spend a lot of time on either mine or the two-tone Murphy one, as I avoid very expertly Dangerous Brian flying, living up to his name. But we're going to go ahead and follow this road down here for a ways. Hey, you're good. We didn't collide, so it's all good. Like I said, you're just trying to live up to your name. And I respect that. As it's very windy. Welcome back. A lot of farmland, a lot of ranches. And what better place, what's better scenery to have something like that? But, you know, nestled in the mountains. Wheezy Goat. There's a name tag for you. Just all the different terrain is just beautiful. It really, I mean, if there's one thing that this sim has done is gone, I want to go here in real life. I want to go there. Places that you may have never thought of visiting. It's now like I want to go there. I want to do that thing. You know, it's really inspired me to, I mean, barring the financial hurdles I have with it, really made me want to get back into my flight training and all that wonderful stuff. And, you know, even with the unfortunateness that has kept us locked in our homes for the most part, you know, barring that, I mean, this is one of the biggest positives that have come out of 2020. You know, between flight sim just being what it is, but having the finding a community that's such a wonderful community is just great. Stream idea, Ghost Recon West Tour. I kind of did that. I flew in Bolivia once, and I got everyone lost at one point. Because I did it in the wrong airplane. Oh yeah, no, Bolivia's great. But yeah, it's just flight sim being what it is, but having the added bonus of having community around it has just been it's been the highlight for 2020 to me. You know, as flight sim, it would have been fun regardless. I would have enjoyed it. But you throw into the actually getting involved with a great community and great people like Murphy and Allison and Jim and Stuart and Scott and everyone, Ed, you know, everyone involved with the community that we've notched ourselves out for or notched out for ourselves. Words. It's just added so much wonderfulness to the way the year's been, and so I'm very grateful that, you know, Flight Sim has brought us together. It's fantastic. Looks like we still have the crew with us. So yeah, it's just... You take a win wherever you can get it. But that's just how I feel. %, Allison. 100%. A little cub. It's not fast. I'm tapped out. I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. Doctor, not a milkman. Wait. Oh, for sure. That, and I mean, it's not building the community, you know, is, well, say gathering, having this little community. It's not been without a little hiccup here and there, but for the most part, everybody's been great. A county and a state. Well, a county is much smaller than a state and resides within a state. So it goes, we have the United States as the country, and then the smaller entities are states, and we have 50 of them, plus Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. D.C. is just a city, and then Puerto Rico is a territory. It does not have statehood yet. And a county kind of divides up a state. And then within the county are cities, towns and villages and such. I wasn't badly affected early on in the year with anxiety as this person COVID. This taking such. Can't. Yeah, for sure. Well, and I was adversely affected in more of an employment situation by the Rona, and which led to a lot of uncertainty. And then I was relieved of said employment, and then it's been a psychological battle just trying to stay positive about anything this year, and this community has really helped that be more at ease. Granted, there's been a lot of other things over here in the U.S. that have kind of added a lot more anxiety into it. But again, the community that we've carved out in Flight Sim have taken great strides in alleviating a lot of my anxiety from everything going on in the world right now. So I'm very, very grateful for Flight Sim. Yes, some states, I believe Kentucky is still considered a Commonwealth. I believe Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth. Although they're at the same level of as states, so it tends to be used interchangeably with those particular states, but the people that live there still consider themselves a commonwealth. It's just, at that point, it's more of a semantical battle. Or provinces, states, and then about 6 to 7 counties. Yeah, that's about how it works over here. I mean, we have the federal government, we have state governments, and we have county governments, and then it goes down to city government, or, well, local governments. There's a certain amount of leeway that, states can determine that they decide not to follow certain federal regulations or something. It all comes down to what law enforcement's really like. If it's something like, for instance, in Michigan, smoking marijuana was made legal recreationally, and so a state police or on down, or a state law enforcement agency on down to the local level could not get you in trouble with that. However, a federal law enforcement officer could, and especially if you were on federal territory or federal land property, they could bust you for it, regardless of the fact that it's legal in the state. It's kind of complicated, and I couldn't really explain it adequately. I'm not a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. And so explaining it would be rather lengthy and difficult, because it confuses even those of us that live here. Yeah, what Brazenhead said. Except for the fact that we can go between the states without papers. I can go to Indiana. Nobody has to check anything at the border. Not that I'd ever really want to go to Indiana. Or Ohio. I've got friends in Ohio, though, so I've got reasons to go to Ohio. I have some very good friends in Ohio. Although one of those friends is originally from California. I've got a lot of friends in Ohio that I haven't seen in a long time. In fact, I don't think that I've seen them in about a year or so. Ouch. That's been a minute. Man, this year sucks. I've not been able to see so many of my friends. Cincinnati. I've driven through it and have never been inclined to stay. There's three main places in Ohio that I've spent any length of time at, and that's been Toledo, Sandusky, or near Sandusky, and Conneaut, Ohio. And don't worry about spelling it wrong, it's Ohio. Their best claim to fame is Ohio State Buckeyes. And maybe Dayton, Ohio. The Air Force Museum. Neil Armstrong. A lot of astronauts come out of Ohio. Probably because they're ready to leave. Any tips on mixture setting for landing in the Cub? Yeah, it's mostly depending on altitude. If you're at normal, less than 1,000 feet, for your descent and landing, you're going to be at full rich. Up at these altitudes, you're probably going to keep it pretty lean, I wouldn't go much more than 50%. I have visited the Air Force Museum in Ohio. It's pretty spectacular. They got some nice stuff in there. I'm in the Savage Cub, and it doesn't have mixture. Yeah, the museum's great. I've got friends that live in Toledo. I used to live with one of those friends for a short time. Sandusky, Ohio, there's an amusement park called Cedar Point. And then Conneaut, Ohio is where I've participated in the United States' largest reenactment of D-Day. So, but yeah, the Air Force Museum is pretty darn good. I like to go in there. It'd be neat to go back. Yeah, it's been real up and down. It's been real up and down all over the place, and even from state to state over here. Not getting into the right, wrong, or otherwise about what happened. Well, we're still planning on doing the meetup in Oshkosh in 2022. But that's in Wisconsin. Looking forward to that. Steve Schwinn, welcome. I don't like the elevator. That's 100%. 100% correct. Welcome, Steve. Steve Schwinn with the follow. Thank you, my friend. Ahoy. You're welcome along. Glad you stopped by. Hope you're well. I'm just enjoying some scenery out in Montana right now, and our last stop is just on the other side of this lake coming. I stream regularly and on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 2000 Zulu, which equates to about 3 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States. Currently mostly flight simming. Try to be pretty relaxed. Yeah, glad you're along. Fair winds and following seas, I believe is the saying. Have a cat bat. Looks like Fly Darren's doing some recon. Working from home, so I've set up a pretty cool little home office, and flight simulator makes for a good distraction for working. Absolutely. are all my favorite singers. There you go. Yeah, Flight Sim is a good distraction. What is your favorite plane to fly in Flight Sim, Steve? And Keen, who's your favorite singer? I'm interested in the detail. So check my altimeter. Yep. None yet. I don't have a computer to power it, but the wheels are turning on a build in the future if I could ever stop. Yeah, it's getting the season for that, isn't it? Well, my favorite has been the series of Cessnas, well, the propped Cessnas, so the 152, the 172, and the Caravan, although I'm enjoying the little Savage Cub. I do like the L19. The Mooney's pretty nice. I heard he's a Dutch artist called Duncan Lawrence. You're right, I haven't heard of him, but if as long as you're excited by their work, that's what matters. And I am excited for you. I've never been ice fishing, but it happens a lot here in Michigan. Once the ice or the lakes freeze over, and boy, do we got a lot of lakes. This is kind of a almost desolate part of Montana. Roger that. We'll probably make the most straight in approach and kind of wing it from there. Roger that. I will have to look that up. The little cheaty map says that there's an airport somewhere out there, and I'm not seeing where it is. Not the one we want, but it's nice to look at them from time to time as we pass on by. And it's right there. Or, I don't know. Maybe in here. I don't know, but it's not where we're going. So there's that. Oh, looks like we got some full odds moving in. Not that I have heard. I'm not in the major loops or anything, but I can't say as I've heard anything specific about the Xbox release. Which is kind of unfortunate. I would guess that it might come sooner rather than later. I would hope anyway. But I feel like a lot of the things that their optimizations they're doing for that and some of the bugs and missteps have probably affected the Xbox release to some degree. But we'll definitely keep on an ear to the ground for news. Oh, there's a nice canyon. Gorgeous countryside. Can't say that enough. I can only imagine what it would... If it looks this good in Flight Sim, I can only imagine it's about 1,000,000 times better in person. Things should get a little lively going over this little set of hills. Almost. Almost. It's not that far from this lake that we're over now. This is this over here is Red Rock Pass, and Henry's Lake is just on the other side, out this way. I bought the components and built it myself. I bought my rig back in I bought the parts and assembled it back in April. Well, March and April. Yeah, between March and April. More in April. As much as I hate to agree with Scotland on this, he's probably right. I kind of wish... I was kind of hoping that it would make it for the holiday release, but, you know, it is what it is. It's better to put out a more polished product, especially for console users, than rush something out. But yeah, I bought and assembled my PC back earlier this year. It would not surprise me in the least, for sure. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome along, Red Dragon. I'm glad you were able to make it and fly along with us. I hope you have a great evening, and we will catch you next time. Yeah, so Red Dragon is right about where the airport is-ish. A little off to the side. I believe it is a grass strip, yes. Roger that. I do believe I have the runway in sight. It certainly is, Keen. It is our last stop for the evening. I'm getting kind of hungry. Yep. Dougal. That one. 12-knot crosswind. Oh boy, that's going to be real fun. In goes Jay and Dougal, and Scotland's over there. Alright, we get ready to land. Use power. as Dougal goes around. Absolutely. You have a good night, Keen, and we'll catch you next time. Ooh. That was real squirrely. It really is. Absolutely nuts. Go ahead and get ourselves positioned to catch the landings. As we have Tortuga already in on final approach. A nice, soft, almost hover landing by Tortuga in the Kit Fox. Excuse me. Next up is Fly Darren. And we're down real nice. Good job. You can see Dangerous Brian coming in. There's Dougal. And a reminder, I do have a merch store. Let's put up a new listing, new design on there, and there's also a Twitch exclusive on the store. So if you feel so inclined, got shirts, tanks, sweatshirts, a mug, face mask, good stuff if you feel inclined to check it out. And Dangerous Brian and touchdown for Brian. Held it together nicely. Dougal right behind him. Well done as always. Next up we have Captain Bombasso. Looking good so far. And we're down. Very nice. There's Cat Bat. Scotland. only there was a way to make the triggers a bit less sensitive for this. I've tried messing with the curves and it's just, I can never get it right. We have Scotland coming in from the angled direction, and then we have Catbat inbound. Well, Scotland, it looked good from over here. And nicely done, Catbat. Well done. If I wasn't as hungry as I am, I would be more than happy to organize that. We may still find a time to do that, but right now, with a parting look on, turn those nasty name tags off real fast. Nope, but you were close enough. But look at the scenery of that. Uh-oh. We had an oopsie. What a ride. What a set of scenery. I do appreciate you all coming along for the flight. I do appreciate you all coming with me on all of the flights that you have. It's very much appreciated, and it sure beats talking to myself. But until the next time, be good to each other. Stay safe out there. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.